The first time you tried to do something new, was it scary?
Oh, yeah. It did take me, like, a really long time to be like, "Okay, I'm gonna do it."
I saw that your website is live.
Yeah, thank you. It's good. I'm having, like, a lot of positive feedback, so it's so exciting. I'm sure you're familiar with that feeling of being so nervous and anxious to just start something new. It did take me, like, a really long time to be like, "Okay, I'm gonna do it." But it feels really good. I'm really, really proud of myself and grateful that I went through with it.
How did you come up with the name?
I actually, like, saw a YouTuber a while back called The Daily Dose, so I was like,
Mm,
"Okay, that's so cool. How can I change it up?"
yeah,
So then I wanted it to be, like, The Daily something, so then I just figured The Daily Dash.
nice. Cool,
But
cool.
yeah, thank you. I feel like it kinda sticks and it's a bit catchy, so
Well, and I saw your tagline, like, "For people that are on the dash." Just makes sense.
yeah, exactly. But how are
Yeah.
you? How was your long weekend?
It was good, besides the fact that, like, I burnt my back in the
Oh,
sun.
yeah,
Aside from that, it was good. I got outside a lot. We're opening up the family cottage. We, like, share a cottage with all 16 of our cousins. Small, little, broken down place,
nice.
but we cut the grass and put the docks out and got it all ready, and then I golfed with my buddies, which was kinda fun because they just reopened golf, so how about you? How was the weekend?
Awesome. Super chill. I saw a few
Yeah,
friends, that was fun, but pretty relaxed. I mean, there's not really much we can do right now other than, like,
yeah.
outdoorsy stuff, so but it was good, the weather was good.
No burns? No
Yeah.
burns?
No, no. Not for
Nice,
me.
nice.
But yeah, I mean, I wanna give you an opportunity to kinda introduce yourself and, tell us a little bit about your entrepreneurship and how you got there.
Yeah, of course. My name is Sam Demma. Fun fact though, my real name's Salvatore.
Right.
Everyone just knows me by Sam. I'm 21 years old. I wanted to be a professional soccer player my entire life. And by the time I was 17, I had a full ride scholarship to a school in the States, and it was like a dream come true. And then a very unfortunate turn of events occurred. And over the course of 2 years, I ended up having three major knee injuries, two surgeries, and I tore the cartilage in my right hip. After the two surgeries, I took a fifth year of school and then I decided to just stop playing sports. I went down a terrible
Mm,
path as a student. I had no clue what I wanted to do with my life. I think a lot of students attach their self worth to their grades and like their achievements and accomplishments. For me, it was soccer. And I felt like
oh, yeah.
if I didn't have it in my life, I would just be worth nothing as a person. Um, so I ended up quitting, went down a terrible path, lost my identity, and then came across this teacher by the name of Michael Loudfoot who believed in me when I stopped believing in myself and taught me this lesson that a small, consistent action can make a massive change and
Right.
kind of challenged me to go do something with it. And that led to starting this organization called Pick Waste with a good friend of mine named Dylan Mendez. We would start picking up trash 1 hour once a week to see if it would lead to a big impact. That kind of grew and scaled. We gained a lot of momentum in the first month that we didn't stop. And it's been 4 years now. We've done just under 300 cleanups, filled just about 3,000 bags of garbage, given out close to 6,000 volunteer hours to high school students. That work got featured all over the national news as well, which helped us get more
Yeah.
volunteers and credibility. And then because of the work, we started getting calls from principals and schools saying, hey, we'd love for you to come and share your story and some inspiration with our young people to encourage them to also make a change and make a difference. And that got me into speaking. At first, it was all voluntary, and I did about 40 presentations for free until a teacher gave me $150 and was like, "You did a great job. You deserve this."
Right.
And young naive Sam Demo was like, "You get money for this? Like, this is crazy." And it's funny. I still have notes right here. So right after I decided, like, I think I have a gift and a nag for speaking, and I love doing it, and it has a positive impact on everyone. I went on Google and I just searched up the words youth speaker, and I called every single person I could find and just like said, "Hey, my name's Sam. I'm 17. I want to learn about this. Can I ask you some questions?" And I have all the notes still, like right here. It's like
Oh
all
my
the first
god,
initial notes that I took on all these phone calls, and
that's awesome.
that's what got me into it. And so, like today, I'm a full time speaker. I'm a board director on CAPS, the Canadian Association of Professional Speakers. We're still running Pick Waste, but I would say 99% of my work is speaking to young people and running programs.
That's awesome. Yeah, your story is super inspiring and I love to hear it. I have heard it before, but I love it. It's awesome.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. How did you like overcome this whole validation that I feel like people always need to get started on something? Like, how did you come up with this by yourself and be like, you know what, I'm good enough and I can do it?
Yeah, great question. I think everyone struggles with it. Even monks who spend like 10 years in a mountain away from everyone, I think they still struggle with it to a degree. You always
Yeah,
seek the approval of other people because it makes us feel accepted and a part of a community when people accept us and celebrate us. And so I would say at
yeah.
first it was really difficult, still difficult today. One of the ways that I helped myself speed up the process was by taking time away from social media. I think that spending
Mhm.
time online is a good thing, but also very negative. And so
Yeah.
I just came back from 8 months off Instagram and Facebook and LinkedIn.
I saw that.
And
I saw when you posted back 8 months ago, you were like, "I'm going off for a while." I was
yeah.
like, "Wow, how?" Because this is like your career, right? Like, it's all social media and everything like that.
Yeah.
So, how did you do that?
So that's what everyone tells me. And here's the crazy part. Social media is one way that I thought I could reach more students and reach more kids. I've done more speeches than I've ever done in my entire life, just no one knows about it. I had my busiest year of speaking and I wasn't online. I think that's a very interesting case study in and of itself. And what it teaches us is that the grass grows where you water it. If I spend
Right.
time on social media and I choose that as my strategy, the grass will grow there. If I choose
Yeah.
calling schools and talking to principals every day to book presentations, the grass will grow over there. And that's exactly what I did. I just changed my priorities, stopped focusing on marketing and social media online, and just did a lot of stuff behind the scenes and offline.
That's awesome. No, good for you.
Yeah.
I had no idea what you were up to, right? And I guess no
No
one
one
really
knows.
did. Yeah.
Yeah, and, like, you know what? I honestly believe that that's also what's helped me, because in the past, I felt the need to post every presentation I delivered. "Oh, I spoke here. Oh, I
Yeah.
spoke here. Look how great I am." Like, every post out, that you put out is basically shouting, like, "Celebrate me. I'm
Yeah.
amazing. I'm great. Celebrate me." And it's like, everyone wants to feel related to you, not like you're above them or in front of them, you know?
Right.
Those posts aren't even helpful. Sure, it's good to celebrate yourself and have other people celebrate you too, but I'm trying to reframe how I use social media and ensure that like everything I post is of value and it makes people feel emotional and makes people believe in themselves a little more. So yeah, that's a little bit about the current situation.
Yeah, I remember you went offline and then no one really knew, but I guess social media is more of like a marketing strategy as well. So if you can do it off of there, then that's great. That shows that you're like so good at what you do that you don't even need it at this point.
Oh, well, and the cool thing is like previously I looked at it as a way to, oh, this is how I'm going to get business. Like schools are
Yeah,
going to see this and they're going to reach out. I'm now approaching it a little differently. For me, it's going to be a place where I communicate with like the students and the young people, and it's going to have nothing to do with selling as a speaker. Sure, some schools might see my social media and also want to reach me out, but everything I create will be geared to individual students
good.
and like interacting with the students themselves. And then all the sales and marketing will just happen offline. And that's my own personal hustle.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I
Yeah.
see that also you're offering like a virtual kind of program.
Yeah. So like
Yeah,
when COVID hit back in May, I created something called the High Performing Student Program. And it was like a 7 module course that teaches students about vision creation and goal setting and weekly planning. Just a bunch of habits, wholesome
mhm.
habits
Yeah.
that I think are super helpful for people of all ages and shapes and sizes. And doesn't matter
Right.
what grade you're in. I just think they're like some great self-leadership tools. So I put that out there and I think like 400 students have gone through it so far. I've actually
Awesome.
taken the material in that and turned it into a 4-day workshop that I deliver
Yeah.
to career classes. So I'm doing a lot of those.
Cool.
But yeah, the online program is great and it's free, which I think is even better. I
Yeah.
was trying to make the barrier to entry like little to nothing. So if kids are
Right.
interested, they can check that out as well.
Awesome. And can you tell me like a little bit more about the small consistent actions? Like how do you, for example, continue to do that? How do you not get lazy and be like, okay, today I don't feel like it? Tell me a little bit more about that.
So everyone's different, but I'll speak personally. I
Mhm.
know that I'm at my best when I challenge myself. And I know this because growing up as an athlete, I loved the hustle. I loved the grind. I love training physically, pushing myself physically. So, one of the things that really helps me is competition with myself. So, for example, I find that if I don't set a goal or a milestone or something to work towards, I wake up and I feel a little more aimless. And so I will literally create goals and I'll also create goals before I achieve my last goal. So if I set a goal and I know I'm going to reach it, before I do, I'll set a new one so that after I complete the first one, I continue moving forward. And there are things that I'm also genuinely excited about. So, for example, I haven't run long distances in a really long time. I set a goal about 3 months ago. I'm going to run my first marathon by the end of August 31st. And that's like,
Nice.
you know, 42 kilometers. I haven't run 10 kilometers in the past like 3 years. The days are getting closer. And so I'm starting to lace up my shoes and start to run. And I start to run. My body starts hurting. I'm stretching. I'm like getting back into it. And that that keeps me going. So I would say, like, if there's an area of your life where you're lacking motivation, maybe set some new goals. And then after you do, find someone in your life who can hold you accountable. I have a good friend, his name's
Mhm.
Lucas. When I'm not doing the things that he knows I've told him I want to do, he'll call me out and be like, dude, you either
Yeah,
want this or you don't want it. Like, which one is it? And if you do, like, let's go, man. Like, let's get out there again. Go do the actions. Go take the things. This is the second part of your question. But yeah, staying motivated, setting goals, and getting accountability partners. In terms of, what small actions am I still taking? It's things related to my own, I guess, my own goals and dreams. I can't tell someone what the right small actions are for them because I would need to understand where they want to go. If you want to get a PhD, I could tell you a specific set of actions that might help you get there. I've never gotten a PhD, so I might not even be the person the person to tell you what you need to do.
right.
But if you said, Sam, I want to become a professional soccer player, what small actions could I take? I could give you a whole list of things that I think would help you. Then the final thought I have is, I think small actions, the most important word in there is consistent. The things that we do one day are great, but they don't make a difference on our life. We become what we commit to, the habits that we execute day in and day out. So if you're gonna look at any word in those three small, consistent actions, the consistent piece is probably the most important.
Of course, yeah. I know you touched a little bit about school when you were speaking right now, and I actually happened to have a class with you ages ago
I
at U of
remember.
T, but then I know you decided not to continue with that. How was making that decision for you? I mean, I know that going to school is like an expense, and it was probably a little bit difficult. So how did you figure out that that's what you wanted to do?
First off, college was a weird time for me. I was like going through the biggest transition in my life, and I had no clue what I was doing. I remember sitting in class like thinking, I don't even know if I want to be here right now.
Yeah,
I remember the specific moment. I think the class we had together was environmental studies, right?
that's right. Yeah, intro to like environmental studies or something. Yeah.
Yeah. So I remember the professor gave us an assignment and we had to go on Google Trends. We had to like
Oh my
choose.
god.
You remember this?
Yeah,
We had
it
to
was
like,
absolutely terrible.
yeah, we had to choose a trend and like analyze it for the past 15 years and decipher
Yeah,
why at some points the trend went up and some points the trend went down. And I remember one of the options was like mosquito repellent or something, and I chose DDT. And
mhm,
it was early October. I was sitting in front of my computer and I was like, starting to do the research for it. I just couldn't get started. Like I just something inside me was like, you're not supposed to be doing this right now. There's something else for you in the world. Like, what are you doing? And it
mhm.
wasn't like this. I didn't have motivation. Like it wasn't a lack of motivation. It was a lack of purpose. I just felt like I was doing the wrong thing at the wrong time. And
Yeah,
so I remember calling my parents and crying, and I was like, "Hey, you guys, I know you're at dinner with your friends. I apologize for bugging you. I just need to let you know, like, I'm gonna drop out of school. Like, I can't do this." And they heard me crying, so they were like, "Oh, honey, relax. We'll come talk to you tonight." And they came home and tried to calm me down. And I was like, "Look, like, it's already made. Like the decision's been made. Like I'm doing this." And like at first, my parents were really stressed about it. They didn't know what I was gonna do. I was also stressed about it because I mean, yeah, I started speaking and I had done a TED talk by then, and like things were starting to gain traction. But by no means was I making an income and able to like
yeah,
feed myself or turn this into a career. It was tough, and the reason it was tough was because of something called social proof. There's this great book by Malcolm Gladwell called The Tipping Point, and it talks about how like little ideas can turn into massive movements. Great book, by the way. You should read it for the Daily Dash. You might learn some cool
okay.
things in there. But
Awesome, thank you.
yeah, so one of the principles he talks about is social proof, and it's this idea that when you and I are not sure what to do in any given social situation, we just look at what the majority of other people are doing and we copy their behavior. For example, you ever been in virtual school and like every student has their camera off? It's all black.
Yeah.
There's probably moments when you're in those classrooms where you're like, "Oh, I would really love to turn my camera on right now and meet some people."
Oh my god, yeah.
But because everyone else has their cameras off, you just probably leave yours off too, right?
Yeah.
That's social proof. It's like I'm gonna
Yeah,
copy what the majority of other people are doing. So if we look at that from a school lens, it's like, hey, right after high school, millions of students go right to college or university, which means making the decision not to go is going against social proof, is doing something different than everyone else. You're gonna feel internal pressure right away.
yeah.
Take that even a step further, dropping out of school, right? What's the kind of relationships with the words dropout? Right? And we think about it right away. Oh,
Mhm.
you're an outcast. You're crazy. You're gonna fail. Like 0.001% of students drop out of college. And
Right.
anyways, there's stats that are made out of dropouts, right? So it's like if I'm gonna drop out again, I'm going against social norms. What I see the majority of other people my age doing. How did I deal with it? By getting very clear on where I wanted to go and creating a roadmap for it. I don't believe that there's a very straight path to the work I want to do in university right now. I think the best
Yeah.
thing I decided to do was call the people who are doing what I wanted to do and just ask them the questions. Is that recommended to become a doctor or get a PhD? Absolutely not. But as a youth
Mhm.
speaker, it's probably one of the best paths to take.
Right. And would you then ever consider going back or would
Yeah.
you?
So
Yeah.
yeah, I don't shut doors. Would I go back to environmental studies and political science? Absolutely not. Um, I realized that
That
like
class that class really
it
turned
killed
you
me.
off, didn't it?
It killed me in like 3 weeks. I lasted like a
Yeah.
whole month in school. But if I did go back, I would probably study something in like behavioral economics, learning why
Okay.
people do what they do. Something, maybe even relate to like psychology as well.
Nice.
I see myself working in this field of speaking to young people and sporting groups and companies for a long time. So I would want to learn about people if I do go back to school. In what capacity, I'm not sure yet, but we'll see.
Yeah. So maybe psychology, maybe not, you're not sure.
Like I've attended school, but just not a formal institution. Like I actually attended something called Youth Speaker University. It's
Cool.
kind of funny. And like I flew to California, went to this conference, and then did like a 4-week program that taught me like
Mhm.
almost everything I know about speaking. So like there's a lot of other ways that I've been educating myself. Formal education is still a goal. It's just when and what that I have to figure out. And I'm not really rushing. So we'll see.
Yeah. That's good. That's good. I feel like if you don't rush, it's probably better because I think the worst decisions are made when you quickly like jump into something. You got to really like think on it and see how you can achieve that. So that's awesome.
Especially when we're all on the dash, you know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah. I wanted to ask you about Pick Waste. Are you guys still active like during COVID and stuff?
We were up until the beginning of May when the province announced another lockdown. So we've had to
Mhm.
postpone all of our cleanups or cancel them. We were
Yep.
hoping to come back May 22nd, but extended it to like June 5th. So we're just waiting for the June 5th. Hopefully they don't extend it again and we'll be able to do our cleanups. The issue is that we meet outside with like 20, sometimes 30 people. So
Right.
we didn't really feel safe doing that with the new guidelines. But we're hoping that once the lockdown passes, this next period is going to be open and we can resume cleanups.
Yeah. So with that being said, like how did you and your friend, I guess, Dylan, right? How did you
Yeah,
guys like come up with this idea?
like pig waste.
Yeah.
Well, at first it was just like, okay, I started walking home from school asking myself what my small action can be, and then one day walking home, a coffee cup blows across the sidewalk, and I was like, oh, garbage.
Mhm.
And there's garbage everywhere. And so I started actually bringing a garbage bag with me to school in my backpack, and I would just fill it on my walk home. And there was absolutely no intention of turning it into a movement or anything. It was just my teacher said, take a small action. This is going to be my thing.
Yeah.
And then like 5 days before the summer break back in 2017, Dylan was driving home. He pulled over beside me, was driving like a Honda minivan, looking like a father of 4 kids. And
That's the best.
yeah, he's like, dude, what the heck are you doing? So I explained to him what my teacher taught me, Mike Loudfoot, that a small action can make a big change. And he was like, why don't we like formalize this? And so originally we started a group, just made an Instagram page and said like, hey, we're going to meet up and clean up 1 hour once a week. We'd love for your help. And every Saturday we would just post a picture on social media in the hope that other students would see it and want to help. Originally we called ourselves the Wastemans and thought it was like so funny. And then we ended up changing it to Pick Waste because we live in Pickering and pick up garbage. It's like good
Yeah.
marketing. So that's where the formal idea came from. It was from us getting together, him deciding we should try and do something with this, and then
Mhm.
just running with it and starting an Instagram page and posting a picture every week.
Right. And then how did you guys like keep it going? How did you not get lazy and not want to give up?
Yeah, good questions. So the work itself is every Saturday for 1 hour. So
Yeah.
it's not like we were committing to 40-hour weeks. We were like, oh my goodness, this is crazy. That being said, like
Yeah.
there's a lot of emails, there's a lot of things to manage. One thing that I think is really important is like building a little team. So we had a ton of volunteers. Shout out to Patrick and Emil and Julia and Vanya. And like there's all these other high school kids that were helping us with social media and helping us do things. That's a
Yeah.
big thing a huge thing I think is really important is having a small team to delegate. The second thing is like I wholeheartedly believe that volunteerism is what helped me find myself again. So after
Mhm.
I could no longer play sports, it was getting involved and giving back that helped me build a new identity for myself. I so deeply believe in volunteerism and I love doing it. So it's like if I'm going to do it already on Saturday mornings, why not just invite others to come out? So it wasn't like I was doing it for pick waste, I was doing it for myself and the organization, and just allowing other kids to come do it with us. It didn't feel like a responsibility. It just felt like a natural progression. Yeah, I think choosing something that you're really passionate about is really important as well. So it doesn't feel like it's something you need to do, but it's something you instead want to do.
Like, it's not a chore, it's because you want to,
Exactly.
yeah,
Yeah, it's like,
yeah,
no one told me to start pick waste. It would be stupid if I started it and I was like, I hate this, like
of
it
course.
wouldn't make any sense, right? It's like
Yeah,
I have a buddy named Ryan Porter who used to be a speaker, and he tells this crazy funny story. It's about three guys that go to work every day, and their wives or their partners pack them sandwiches. And just for the sake of the story, very quickly, we can name these three people: Sam, Joe, and John. And
okay.
I'll be Sam real quick. This will be very brief. So Sam, Joe, and John show up to work. Sam's like, "Oh my goodness, if I get another cheese sandwich packed for my lunch again, I'm not showing up to work." John's like, "Oh my goodness, if I get another ham sandwich, I'm not showing up to work again." And then Joe's like, "Oh, if I get another turkey sandwich, I'm not showing up to work again." The next day, all the three men show up to work. John pulls out a sandwich. He's like, "Geez, another ham sandwich? I'm not showing up tomorrow." Joe's like, "Geez, another turkey sandwich? I'm not showing up tomorrow." I pull up with mine. I'm like, "Geez, another cheese sandwich? I'm not showing up tomorrow." Then a month later, three wives are together, our partners are talking, and they're like, "I don't know why our husbands like decided that, they didn't want to go to work anymore." John's wife is like, "He should have just told me he didn't like ham. I would have just stopped packing it for him." And then Joe's wife is like, "He should just told me I didn't like turkey. I would have stopped packing it." And then my wife is like, "Sam packed his own lunch." And the purpose of the story is like, you're creating your life. You're creating your own lunch. If you don't like something, just change it,
Right.
No one's
That's
forcing me to eat
awesome, I
cheese
love that.
sandwich. Yeah. Cool story, right? Shout
It
out
is
to
pretty
Ryan
cool.
Porter.
I
He has a
love
whole
that, I
book
love that.
about it. He has a whole book about it.
Mhm.
It's called like Make Your Lunch, something like that.
Okay, cool, I'll check it out. With the, like, motivational speaking and, like, you getting up in front of these crowds, like, how did you do that? Initially, I mean, was it not scary?
I mean, the first time you tried to do something new, was it scary?
Oh, yeah. I mean, talking in front of people, like, that's a
Yeah.
whole 'nother level of scary.
Yeah.
At least for a lot of people. Yeah, it's, like,
Yeah.
some people's biggest phobias.
It's true. I just wanted to put that out there just to make it more realistic. It's like every time
Yeah,
we try something new, it's going to be scary. It doesn't matter if it's baking or cooking or speaking.
for sure.
But you're right. Like the second most feared thing in the world is public speaking next to death. So it's like,
Oh my god.
you can either die or speak. Which
What's
one's it going to
worse?
be? Yeah. And I, at the beginning, would always remind myself that I'm a vessel, that the message is more important than my feelings, that the message is more important than how I look or how I
No.
sound. And that's what really helped me get started. I'll be honest, I sucked. I still have videos of my first couple presentations. And if I look back and watch them now, I cringe. It's so funny, but it's good
Mhm.
because it means I've made progress, right?
Of course, yeah.
I think how I was able to do it, I reminded myself how important the message was I was spreading. And then, second of all, I practiced a ton. I used to have a waterproof G Shock, and I would
Oh my
stand in my
god.
shower and I would practice the speech in front of the stone wall, like tiles.
Yeah.
My mom and dad would come downstairs and be like, "What the heck are you doing?" I'm like, "Guys, I'm practicing my talk. I'm sorry." Not a good way to practice, but I practiced a lot in the shower, outside of the shower, in front of the mirror. Like I would say, reminding myself that it's more about the audience than it is about me, and practicing are the two biggest things that help me develop that skill.
Definitely, I think practicing is, like, the most important thing. I'm
Yeah.
sure, though, in high school, you probably had, like, some class presentations that maybe somewhat prepared you. But no, I mean, the level of the crowd is completely different versus, like, presenting for your class and a whole audience, so
Sometimes I get like I still get nervous, like I still sweat.
yeah.
It's funny, like after a speech, I usually go like this and like show kids my armpit and like
Yeah.
say, "Look, like I'm human too, man. Like I get nervous too." And it's actually a good thing to get nervous because it just means you care about what the audience is thinking. You care about the fact that they get value out of what you're sharing. If you weren't nervous at all, it's
Yeah,
because you don't care at all. The best performers in the world still get nervous. I think what's important is, again, just practicing and understanding why you're doing what you're doing. That will really pull you through.
of course. Being online, and I'm sure when you're gonna go back to in person, you're gonna feel a little bit more of that adrenaline again.
Yeah, like I'm super tired of wearing masks on virtual presentations, and I just want to be able to high five a kid, give him a hug and just
Yeah.
be a little more normal about things.
What are some of your, like, future plans or like upcoming plans that you've got?
Well, I released the grad video. That was like a
Yeah,
month and a half in the making.
that was
I was like,
awesome.
thank you. I appreciate it. Are you
Yeah,
graduating this year?
I am. So like, thank you for that.
You're welcome.
That
You're
was
welcome.
great.
I appreciate it. That was a huge thing I was working on. Right
Mhm.
now, literally just yesterday, I had this idea, and the idea is to support athletes in some way. So I've read a ton of articles about how thousands of scholarships are being robbed of Canadian students because they haven't been getting a chance to play and no one's seeing them. And so there's like millions of kids who have spent 12 to 15 years training for a sport. And the senior year in high school is the most important when it comes to getting a scholarship. And they're not
Yep.
being seen. There's no games, there's no tournaments, there's no showcases. And so
Right.
all these kids feel robbed. And so I'm thinking about how I can support athletes. And I think in the next month, I'm going to run a campaign and hopefully get it sponsored by somebody. Typically in your senior year, you commit to a college. Like you sign, and as an athlete, you like sign to a school.
Right.
And no one's doing that. And typically what accompanies that is taking a picture with a table with your family behind you with the school logo and you're signing this piece of paper. You know the post I'm
Yeah,
talking about by student
I
athletes?
totally do.
Yeah.
I definitely know.
Yeah, and so kids aren't doing that, and so I had this idea, and it was like, what if I can kind of share my story on how I chased my dream as a soccer player for like 12 years, and it all fell apart, how it relates to what
Right.
students are going through right now, and to understand the important thing is not that you achieve your dream, it's that you keep chasing them, even as your
Right.
external environment changes and you give your 100% of your effort. And so I had this idea where I could like partner with Canada Soccer or somebody to give
Nice.
out like 5 scholarships. And they're like $1,000 each to support athletes who might need to buy new gear and continue chasing their dream. And
Yep.
then the way they enter is by basically doing a fake scholarship signing. But instead of having a university contract in front of them, you draft up a contract to yourself and you like commit to certain things. You explain why you deserve this and like what you're going to do after getting the money, and then take a picture of you signing it on your table with your family behind you and post it on social. And so,
Awesome.
yeah, I think I'm going to put this
That's a
together.
good idea. Yeah,
I don't
I
know what
like
it's going to
it.
look like yet. I don't know what it's going to look like yet, but I'm really amped about the idea and I've already reached out to some people. So we'll see how it
Mhm.
goes. And yeah, I think that's like a big next plan.
It is, it's huge, yeah. Are you trying to
Yeah.
get that done, like, by this summer?
No, like the next 2 weeks.
Oh my
I feel
god.
like I feel like it's too late. I feel like
Okay.
this idea came to me like yesterday, and
Yep.
the issue is that like kids are about to get into summer, and I think like once
Yeah.
summer hits, everyone's gonna be focused on totally different things, and I think this is the year for it. Like this is the year that kids really missed out on things, and if I'm gonna pull this
Mhm.
together, it has to happen like really quick. So in the next
Yeah.
like 2 3 days, I'm gonna try find a sponsor, so someone who wants to fund this, like the
Yep.
scholarship side of it, and then once I get that locked down, I'm gonna call my friends and be like, "Yo, we're filming. Like, come today. Like, we're
Right.
filming this video, we're making this happen, and then post it online and see what happens."
Nice, nice. Yeah, no, honestly,
Yeah.
like, I guess I didn't realize that the kids who are playing sports are totally being left out right now, especially those kids who, like, want scholarships and stuff. I didn't even think about that.
It's such a big issue.
Yeah.
So if you search like high school kids missing scholarships, you'll find like a dozen CBC articles that just came out like
Oh,
last
okay.
week. Like there's one guy who's being called the next Andre DeGrasse, but instead of being on a sprinting scholarship, the guy's working in a grocery store because didn't get a chance
Oh,
to go anywhere. And it's like, what a waste of talent. What a waste of hard work?
yeah.
And what I'm trying to do is say, like, no, it's not a waste. Like, all your hard work
Yeah.
brought you to this moment, and what's going to bring you to the next moment is more hard work. Don't give up. Like, this is the
Right.
time to double down on your dream. And hopefully, giving someone financial support can give them the leeway they need to leave the grocery store for some weeks and get back on track.
Mhm. Yeah, I know what
We'll
you're
see.
saying. No,
Yeah.
that's awesome. That's a good idea. Really
We'll see
good.
how it goes. We'll see how it
Yeah,
goes.
well, best of
Yeah.
luck. I can't wait to
Yeah.
see it. Thank you so much for talking to me today. I don't really have any other questions left for you. I mostly wanted to touch on your journey to like becoming an entrepreneur and this motivational speaking. And also, you touched a lot on habit building, which is my main focus this week.
Nice.
So thank you so much. And I hope we can talk again soon.
Yeah, absolutely. Anytime. If you have any questions like about business or anything else you might think I might be able to assist with, feel free to reach out and we can
Awesome.
chat.
Thank you so much and take care.
Cool. You're welcome. All right. See ya.